I have heard the term evergreen content mentioned a few times when researching marketing. What does that term refer to? Evergreen trees?
Yeah, like the ones that hang in your car. That's what, the little ones on your rear view mirror. No, evergreen content, it's really simple. I mean, again, I feel like we a lot of times throw nomenclature around that makes it more difficult than it has to be. Evergreen content just means that the content is doesn't have a shelf life, if you will. Like, it's content that is going to be valid and correct today, and it's also going to be valid and correct 3 years from now, maybe 5 years from now. So when somebody refers to something as evergreen, they mean it's not like it's a post that you put out today and then 2 months from now it's dated. That wouldn't be considered evergreen. But certain things, like with regard to let's say, a lot of the people we talk to are in the window film industry. 5 benefits of using a home window film. And you talk about heat rejection, you talk about fade protection, you talk about glare reduction, you talk about potential energy savings, things of that nature. That's going to be true of window film 5 years from now as much as it is now. So that would be something like that. Piece of content is evergreen because there's not information in there that's dated. Now, if you have a post on your website that talks about the window film tax credit that expires next year, that's good information. It's great to have that on your website, but that does have a shelf life. After that expiration date or after that tax code isn't renewed, that post is no longer usable per se. I mean, it's not evergreen. So there's maybe an example of a post that would be evergreen versus a post that would not be evergreen.
Yeah, to me, it does kind of fall in line with evergreen trees. If you think about like the seasons, and I think a lot of times in particular sectors and markets, like you're going to have, whether it's the Christmas season, so you might be pushing out a lot of merchandise that you might have bought, you're overstocked and trying to push out. And so you're going to have different types of posts or stuff like that are going to hit to try to move that stuff. Whereas you may have a steady product that you continue to sell all year round. And so it's a way that you are kind of posting it versus just a specific time frame, whether it's a sale type period, whether you have in the tint industry, if obviously we have ups and downs throughout the season, like you mentioned at the start, where when it's hot out and you have untinted windows, you kind of want to push the product. Whereas if it's going into the fall and winter, you might push paint protection because you want to kind of resist the salt or the rocks and snow that if you are in different climates that would have that. Obviously in the South, it might be a lot less. So it's definitely one of those things to think about, where if it is kind of the seasons, where an evergreen tree is green all year round. And so it's something that you would have up or be able to kind of do the copy, not copy, but something that you could post throughout the year at different times. Because obviously we've talked about before where you can reuse content, and that's okay. As long as you have something that makes sense throughout the year, whether you have a specific product or service that kind of runs all year. When I used to work at a lawn care company, like obviously lawns and fertilizer kind of has a set shelf life, whereas they started moving into duct cleanings and carpet cleanings, which can be done all year round. So it's a lot of different things as far as if you think about it in that way, is a seasonally type of post that you can do or year round.
Yep. No, that makes total sense. I mean, I think the seasonality of like, obviously if you're posting things with a holiday theme towards Thanksgiving, Christmas time, obviously in March, those posts are not going to have as much relevance. I mean, people are going to look at those and feel they're dated. They're not relevant to the fact that it's March. Where other posts, as you mentioned, I mean, you can literally post at any time of the year and it's going to be equally relevant at any time of the year. So, and there's other things too, like you said. I mean, just make sure that when you're creating posts that you are thinking about, you're thinking about like whether it's a piece of evergreen. There's content on your website, and I don't want to get in the weeds. That's called pillar content. And you think about what a pillar is in a building, it's structural. It's like, this is a key element to the structure of this site. So some content that's evergreen would be pillar content, which means that it's literally indicative of this is what we do. This is what our company's about. This is the products / services we offer. And that's not going to change, or it's not, we're not intending to change it. There's other things you could do a post about, which would be like maybe a holiday promotion or whatever, would not be pillar content. That's a post for a very brief period of time, and then it basically is going to go away. And you might even argue that those posts, that page should be redirected back to another page and maybe just even taken out of being published, because you don't really want somebody 3 years from now finding your page on your website about your 2021 holiday promotion. It's not relevant anymore.